Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Bhakti Vaibhav class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksharo Nilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatyate Shatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, so welcome everyone. We are continuing our discussion from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 4. We are on last chapter. Narad instructs the Prachetas. We continue from verse number 13. The Prachetas, after ruling for many thousands of years, they renounced the world. They went to the southern, western side, the seashore. They are there. They reach at the place of Jajali Rishi. They start practicing Ashtanga Yoga. There, Narad Muni came and met them. And they asked, so all these Prachetas, they asked Narad Muni that they very humbly said, actually, we forgot whatever instructions we heard from Lord Shiva and Supreme Lord himself. So can you please explain and enlighten us again? Because it is by some great fortune you have come here. Your movements are like the sun, which drives away the darkness. Kindly enlighten us in the transcendental knowledge. So Narad Muni starts explaining the science of devotional service. He describes how devotional service is the goal of all the spiritual practices. Without bhakti, all the other paths are useless. Janma janmabhi trivisveha shaukra savitra yagitai. Even if somebody he has undergone 3 types of births, but if one doesn't worship Krishna, then everything is useless. Even if one gets a lifespan of devtas, Pumso api vibudha ayusha. Vibudha ayusha means devtas lifespan. So we'll continue from verse number 13. We'll recite this. Shreyasam api sarvesham
येषामपि सर्वेषाम्
Isham
atma hi avadhir arthatah
आत्महि
Atma Artha
sarvesham api bhutanam
सर्वेषाम्
Sarvesam Abhibhutanam
hariratmatmadapriyah.
हरेर्.
Hariratmana Priya.
Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of all self-realization. Consequently, the goal of all auspicious activities, karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hari atma daha priyah. Factually, Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, he is Atmatmada. He is the original source of self-realization. Atmada. Atmada means self, one who gives the Atma. That means one who gives us our actual identity, Prabhupada writes. Who can give us the original identity. That is self-realization. So only Krishna can give us self-realization. And therefore, whatever paths, Shreyasam api sarvesham, all the auspicious activities mentioned in karma, jnana, yoga, the best is to serve Krishna. Prabhupada writes, living entity is the marginal energy of the Lord, and material world is the external energy. So, Supreme Lord, he is the source of everything, either material world or spiritual world. Bhumirapo analo vayu kammano buddhi aparyamitastwanyam prakritim vidhi jiv bhuta. Prabhupada writes all these verses describing how Krishna is the source of all the material and spiritual worlds, living entity, and all the material manifestation comes from him only. Chakravarti Thakur writes, this verse explained the logic for saying that all processes are useless without bhakti. Without bhakti, everything is useless because he is the one who gives the result. Lord gives the result, and Lord can be pleased only by bhakti. So without bhakti, everything is useless. The goal of all sadhanas of auspiciousness is Atma, since their purpose is to satisfy the Atma. But Supreme Lord is the Atma of all beings. If the Lord is pleased by bhakti, then he gives himself. So that's how the Lord is pleased only by pure devotional service. Yam evaishe vrinute ten labhya tasyesha atma vrinute tanumsyam. Prabhupada quotes this many, many times. This is the Vedic Upanishads. So Lord gives the intelligence. He gives himself. When he is pleased by the practice of devotional service, he gives himself. Then after describing this, now Narad Muni gives another very, very famous verse describing that all the processes are dependent on bhakti, but bhakti is not dependent on any other process. Next verse, Chakravarti Thakur writes, just as karma and jnana must be mixed with bhakti to get results, bhakti should also be mixed with karma and jnana to get results. This is a question. Since the scriptures say that one must make atonement if one omits to perform nitya karma aimed at pleasing devtas, sages, and pitris. So somebody may ask this. So in the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport commentaries, whenever you see something in inverted comma, just like it begins with inverted comma and then it ends with inverted comma, this is Purva Paksha. This is called as Purva Paksha. What other person is saying. So some people may say that, okay, you are saying karma and jnana has to be mixed with bhakti, then only it will give result. But the other way is also right, or bhakti is independent. Because we have heard in scriptures, if somebody doesn't perform the regulative duties, nitya karma, that means sandhya or shraddha, so they will bear the results, consequences. Paschattap we have to do. So what is the actual understanding? Famous verse. We'll recite this. Yatha tarormula nishechanena tripyanti tat skandha bhujopashakha प्राणोपहारा च तथेन्द्रियाणाम् तथैव सर्वार्हणमच्युतेज्य
तदैव
pouring water from the root of tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach, enlivens the senses and limbs of the body. Simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. Yes. Very famous verse. We must have heard this hundreds of times. Prabhupada gives this example always. Yatha taru mool. If you water the root of the tree, entire tree is nourished. Skanda bhujopashaka. Another example, if you put food in the stomach, entire body is nourished. Tathaiva sarva arahanam achyuta ijya. Similarly, devotional service, because it satisfies the Supreme Lord, it satisfies everyone. Prabhupada gives very graphic example sometimes in his classes. He says, you can't put food in any hole of the body. Only one hole you can put food. Other holes you can't put food. Prabhupada is very graphic sometimes. So only when you put food in the stomach, then it will nourish the body. If you worship anybody else, everybody will not be satisfied. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, what is this Skanda, Bhuja, Upashakha? Chakravarti Thakur says, the first division from the trunk of a tree is called Skanda. When it divides, it is called Bhuja. When the Bhuja divides, it is called Upashakha. So every word in Sanskrit has a particular meaning. Skandha, the main trunk. Then the first branch is Bhuja. Then further branches is Upashakha. All these parts of the tree are satisfied by watering the root. They cannot be satisfied by pouring water on the branches. Similarly, somebody may say, well, okay, this is acceptable. If one cannot worship everyone, then it is acceptable. You are saying, okay, you can't water every leaf. What if one can worship all the devtas? That is also possible for somebody. Then one should worship the Lord and all the devtas also. There is no fault in watering the root, branches, leaves. Rather, that is better. Somebody may give this proposition. ठीक है, okay. You are saying water the root of the tree. What's the problem in watering? I'll water the root also, and I'll put water on the leaves also, branch also. What's the problem? Any problem you have? Therefore, another example is given. Why two examples are given? Another example is you can't put food in any other hole of your body. You can't put food in your eyes. You can't put food in your ears. So that is very, very graphically explained in this verse. Because somebody may say, ठीक है ना, मैं पानी सब जगह डालूंगा, problem है आपको. Problem है, because it is not proper. In fact, you are troubling the eye and the ears if you are putting food in eye and ears. It is a fault. So that is understanding here. So Prabhupada writes, sometimes people ask, why this Krishna consciousness movement simply advocates worship of Krishna? This is the answer. Watering the root of the tree. Krishna is the root of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhava. Sometimes it is argued that karma and jnana require a mixture of bhakti in order to be successful. And sometimes it is said bhakti also requires karma and jnana. But that is not the fact. Bhakti is completely independent. Rite artham vyat pratiyeta nahi. Kya anvaya vyatireka? How does it start, that verse? अन्वय व्यतिरेकाभ्याम यत्सात् सर्वत्र सर्वदा. The Chatusloki Bhagavatam. That is the classic example of this sarvatra sarvada. Tasmat sarvatmanara. No, sorry. Etavad eva jigyasyam tattva jigyasunatmanah anvaya vyatirekabhyam yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. If bhakti is present, other things are not present, no problem. If other thing is present, bhakti is not present, no result. Bhakti is independent. Bhakti is not dependent on anything. It does not require karma, jnana. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Prabhupada writes an entire chapter. Devotional service is independent of all other practices. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. It is not, Rupa Goswami is not using this word shunyam. It is not jnana karmadi shunya. It is jnana karmadi anavrita. It is not covered by jnana and karma. Because the process of bhakti also requires jnana and karma. What are we doing now? We are cultivating jnana. Our chanting, our serving the deities, that is karma, that is activity. So bhakti is not without activity and knowledge, but it is not covered by mundane knowledge and mundane activity. That is mentioned here. Krishna bhakti koile sarva karma krit hoye. Okay, then. So it is very, very important to understand. We are not against respecting devtas. We respect all the devtas, but we worship only Krishna. This is pure faith. We have discussed about this many times. Pure faith. Pure faith means I will respect everyone, but I will worship only Krishna. If somebody has this pure faith, and with this faith, when one starts chanting, Karmani nirdahati kintuja bhakti bhaja, then all the sins are gone. At that moment, the sins are destroyed by the power of chanting. As soon as one comes to this pure faith, I will respect everyone, but I will worship only Krishna. This is pure faith. This impels one to render loving devotional service. And this loving devotional service has two qualities: complete dependence, Krishna bhakti koile sarva karma krit hoy, and exclusively dedication to the Lord. Exclusive dedication to the Lord. I will serve only Krishna. I will depend on Krishna. I will serve only Krishna. So that is very, very important. Because sometimes people, they say, okay, what is the problem in worshipping devtas? You worship Krishna, worship devtas also. No. If we are worshipping devtas, we are dividing our faith. Okay. Now, next verse describes, Narad Muni gives two examples to describe how Krishna is the root of everything. Because the previous verse said, water the root of the tree. So somebody will say, what's the proof that Krishna is the root? So he is giving two examples. I'll recite this. Yathaiva suryat prabhavanti vara punascha tasmin pravishanti kale bhutani bhumau sirajangamani tatha haraveva gunapravaha.
Rainy season, water is generated from the sun, and in due course of time, during the summer season, the very same water is again absorbed by the sun. Similarly, all living entities, moving and inner, are generated from the earth, and again, after some time, they all return to the earth as dust. Similarly, everything emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in due course of time, everything enters into Him again. Hare Krishna.
Two examples. Yathaiva suryat prabhavanti vara. Surya evaporates water from the sun, from the ocean. And in the summer season, the Surya evaporates water from the ocean. And in the rainy season, gives the water again. All the living entities, they come from earth. That means all the bodies of the living entities are made up of matter. And after death, they again go in matter. Similarly, everything is coming from Krishna. He is the root. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. Prabhupada writes, because of poor fund of knowledge, impersonalist philosophers cannot understand how everything comes from Supreme Person and merges into Him again. Brahma Samhita, Brahmaji says, Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti. His Prabha, the transcendental rays emanating from the body of Krishna, they are the source of entire material existence. Vatsani Sarva Bhutani. Prabhupada quotes many, many verses, how everything is coming from Krishna. Yasyeka nishvashita kalamathavalambya. Lord breathes out all the universes. Okay. Etat padam tat jagadatmana param sakrit vibhatam savitur yatha prabha. यथा शवो जागृति सुप्त शक्तयो द्रव्य क्रिया ज्ञान भिदा भ्रमात्ययः.
Just as the sunshine is non-different from the sun, the cosmic manifestation is also non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore all-pervasive within this material creation. When the senses are active, they appear to be part and parcel of the body, but when the body is asleep, their activities are unmanifest. Similarly, the whole cosmic creation appears different and yet non-different from the Supreme Person.
Achintya bheda abheda tattva is described by Narad Muni here. Sunshine and the sun, same and different. The senses, they appear to be part and parcel of the body, but in the sleeping stage, their actions are not manifested. So they are one and the different also. Similarly, entire cosmic manifestation comes from the Lord, but he is not this cosmic manifestation. Lord never gets transformed. His energies get transformed. That is difference between Vyasdev's Parinamvad and Shankaracharya's Vivartavad. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a detailed description of what is Parinamvad, what is Vivartavad. This comes in the conversation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Prakashananda Saraswati. In short, Parinamvad, which Vyasadev suggests, he says the Lord never gets transformed, his energies get transformed. But Shankaracharya says, Lord himself gets transformed. That is Vivartavad. And he says that this world is illusion. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. Vyasadev says this world is not illusion. Our conception that this is my and this is me and this is mine, that is illusion. So Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva is described here, how we are one and different. Prabhupada writes, the Supreme Lord is simultaneously one and different. In the previous verse, it is explained Krishna is the root of everything. He is the source of entire cosmic manifestation. Prabhupada explains the sun and the sunshine example. And then in the next paragraph, he says, the proprietor of house may live in one room of the house, but the entire house belongs to him. Isha avasyamidam sarvam. This entire world belongs to Krishna. A king may live in one room in Buckingham Palace, but the entire palace is his property. The king doesn't have to stay in every room to prove that this is my palace. Similarly, the Lord may not have to manifest himself, although he is there, andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. But just because we are not able to see him, that does not mean he is not there. This world is entire property of Krishna. Everything is coming from Krishna. Prabhupada then explains this sunshine, sun globe, and sun god. The mountain from a distance, from nearby, and you enter the mountain. The train from a distance, only light is seen. Then some bogies, then when the train is on the platform, everything is seen. So these are the various aspects of the Lord. This is Achintya Bheda Abheda. Now, we say Achintya. This is inconceivable, one and different. Mayavadis also use a term, anirvachaniya. What is the difference between Achintya and anirvachaniya? Mayavadis say you can't explain the absolute reality in words. That's why it is anirvachaniya. And it becomes an excuse to run away from reality. You can't explain, so no need to discuss. Achintya, it is the glory of the absolute truth. It is not that we can't explain, but however we explain, it is beyond our mental understanding. So anirvachaniya is used when one can't explain the contradictions by his intelligence. And when we say achintya, it is the glory of the absolute truth. Oh, Supreme Lord is so great that our intelligence is insignificant. Anirvachaniya cannot explain. It is not about mine insignificance, but you can't explain only. So there is a very subtle difference between the Mayavadi's anirvachaniya and achintyatva of the Vaishnava philosophy. So Mayavadis, they say Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya, but they can't explain what is Brahma Satya. So they say it is Anarvachaniya. We say Lord is not Anarvachaniya. We can explain little bit about the Lord, but Lord is unlimited. And he has many potencies which we can't understand by our limited brain. So Mayavad, what they explain, they divide the world in two levels, Vyavaharika, Paramarthika. Vyavaharik means they say, in this world, there is variety. You see variety in this world. This is Vyavaharik reality. Paramarthik reality means, in the absolute sense, there is oneness. But it is not the fact. In the absolute reality also, there is variegatedness. Scriptures are full of different features of the Lord. So how to understand this? On one side, Mayavadis, they say Vyavaharik, Paramarthik, but scriptures, they also describe that in Paramarthik literatures also, in the supreme world, spiritual world also, there is variety. So to reconcile this, what they do? They say, oh, actually, some scriptures, they are of lower level. Some scriptures are of higher level. The lower level scriptures, they talk about the Vyavaharik reality. They'll talk about the variety of this world. They'll talk about the variety of spiritual world. They're lower level of scriptures, not higher. Higher level of scripture means oneness. Who decided? They decided. Because they had the rights. So they say such higher scriptures, they have this Mahavakya. What is this Mahavakya? Who decided Mahavakya? They decided. Because they were the authority. So they decided the authority, they were the authority. So they made some Mahavakyas. What is Mahavakya? Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, Soham, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. These are Mahavakyas, they say. And everything else is Laghu Vakya. That means anything which contradicts the teachings of Shankaracharya, they say it is lower level of reality. And that's how they prove themselves better. Shankaracharya, in the end of his life, and the end means he was just 32 years old that time. In the last, past times, he said, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Moodmate, Samprapte, Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karne. Just chant and worship Govinda. All these words jugglery will not help you at the time of death. So the disciples, they say, no, actually, this is lower level statement, Vyavaharik statement by Shankaracharya. So that's how they have divided everything into Vyavaharik and Paramarthik, Mahavakya, Laghu all that. Okay. So now, Somebody may say, how can the Lord, who is beyond the gunas of the universe, be the cause of the universe made of guna? Because if I don't have something, how can I create something which has that quality? If Lord is beyond the mode of nature, how can he create the world which is having the modes of nature? The material cause of pot cannot be something which is not earth. The mud creates the pot. So the quality of pot is there in the mud also, right? So how is it that Lord is beyond the modes and he creates the world which is full of modes? ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? So Narad Muni gives another example. यथा नभस्य व्रतमा प्रकाशा भवन्ति भूपा न भवन्त्यनुक्रमात् एवं परे ब्रह्मणि शक्तयस्त्वनु त्वमो रजस्तमः सत्त्वमिति प्रवाहः.
My dear king, sometimes in the sky there are clouds, sometimes there is darkness, and sometimes there is illumination. The appearance of all these takes place consecutively. Similarly, in the Supreme Absolute, the modes of passion, darkness, and goodness appear as consecutive energies. Sometimes they appear and sometimes they disappear.
So the Lord also changes because he's creating a universe which is having the influence of modes. So after creating all the material manifestation, Lord also changes, is it? He says, no, Lord never changes. All these qualities, they are the energies of the Lord. Lord is not any of this. Yatha nabhasi abhratama prakasha. Just sometimes in the sky there are clouds, there is tama, there is darkness, prakash, there is illumination. They appear sometimes simultaneously, consecutively, not simultaneously. Immediately, suddenly there will be a cloud, suddenly darkness, then some lightning. That's how all these modes of nature, they appear in the Lord. Lord deals with all these material nature, with modes, but he is not affected by any of this. The sky is not affected by any of this. Sky is completely aloof of all this. So therefore, similarly, the Lord is also aloof of all this. He may deal with all the modes of nature, but he never gets affected. Etad ishanam ishasya prakriti-sthopi tad-gunai na yujyate sadatmasthair yatha buddhi tadashraya. If the great devotees of the Lord, by taking shelter of the Lord, go beyond the Lord, go beyond the modes of nature, how can the Lord be affected by the modes of nature? So that is the understanding. The Lord is beyond. He is the original cause of cosmic manifestation. Chakravarti Thakur writes, clouds, darkness, and the light appear and disappear in the sky by the power of the sun. So by the power of the sun, clouds appear. Sometimes in that cloud, lightning is there. It's all basically because of the sun. And snow also appears because of the sun. Ordinary people think that the Lord is covered by his own creations. Just as one may think that sun is covered by the clouds, sun is covered by the snow, sun is covered by the eclipse. Nothing happens to the sun. Some people may think like that. Okay, Lord is affected by the modes, covered by the modes. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam. Lord is never affected by any of this. When Krishna entered Dwarka, all the queens of Krishna, they were trying to attract him by their loving glances, shy smiles. He was not affected by any of it. Uddama bhava pishuna malaval guhasa vrida valokanihato madano piyasa sammuhya chapamajahat pramadottamasta yasya indriye vimatitam kuhakaina sheku. Yasya indriya na vimatitum. They were not able to agitate the senses of Krishna. Krishna was not attracted by their beauty. He was attracted by their devotion. Though the sun is beyond the clouds and snow, it is the material cause. It is their material cause and remains unchanged. Similarly, the Lord, who is beyond the moons, he is the cause of this universe. He is unchanging reality. Then it is described. According to Narada, the Supreme Lord is the material cause of the universe, made of gunas, and is unchanging. He quotes this verse. It is difficult to understand that you, O my Lord, who is engaged in many pastimes in the spiritual world, you are without a material shelter. That means Lord is nothing material. Without actions in material body, that means he has all spiritual actions. Without the assistance of the Devatas, because the Lord is independent. He is supremely independent and sufficient to do all the actions. So Lord is able to do everything. Then there are some verses from personified Vedas, and there is a prayer by Gajendra, very beautiful prayer. Namo namaste khilakaranaya nishkaranaya adbhutakaranaya sarvagamamnaya maharnavaya namo pavargaya parayanaya. Akhilakaranaya, you are the cause of everything. Nishkaranaya, but you have no cause. Adbhutakaranaya, you are the astonishing cause of everything. So that's how the Lord is. He is not affected by anything. Okay. Prabhupada writes in the purport. He says, Prabhupada gives two examples. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that understanding Prakriti or nature to be the cause of everything. Some people say like that, the material nature is everything. Material nature is creating. Material nature is not creating. It is like Aja Galastana Nyaya. Aja Galastana Nyaya means the nipples on the neck of a goat. And if somebody says, okay, I think I can get milk from there. No, that will never give milk. So if somebody says that Prakriti is the cause of all the variety of creations, no. It is the seed which is sown in the material nature. Another example is given of Vrishika Tandula Nyaya. Some people say, okay, the rice is giving birth to scorpions. Rice can never give birth to scorpions. It was the scorpion, mother scorpion, which had laid eggs, and now the eggs are hatching and the scorpions are coming out. So therefore, if somebody doesn't understand the essence and he thinks, okay, it seems the Lord, material nature is creating. No, it is not the fact. Another example Prabhupada gives. We see on the potter's wheel a sufficient amount of earth to produce many pots. And although unintelligent men will say that earth on the wheel is the cause of the pot, those who are actually advanced will find that the original cause is the potter. If the person is not there, how will this mud become the pot? So these are two examples Prabhupada gives. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti. Okay. Narad Muni continues. In next four verses, he describes in 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 5 verses, he describes, please satisfy the all-powerful Lord by devotional service. तेनैकमात्मानमशेषदेहिनां कालं प्रधानं पुरुषं परेशं स्वतेजसाध्वस्तगुणप्रवाहम् आत्मैकभावेन भजध्वमद्धा.
Because the Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes. He is the super soul of all individual living entities, and he exists as both the remote and immediate cause. Since he is aloof from the material emanations, he is free from their interactions and is Lord of material nature. You should therefore engage in his devotional service, thinking yourself qualitatively one with him.
So there are three causes of creation. Tenaikam atmanam ashesha dehinam. So Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes. Ashesha dehinam, of all the living entities. He is the cause of all the living entities. And kalam pradhanam purusham puranam. Kalam purusham paresham. Kalam pradhanam purusham paresham means he is the remote cause and the immediate cause. Basically, everything is the Lord only. We have heard about the three causes: the immediate cause, remote cause, and the ultimate cause. Everything is Supreme Lord only. Because he is also the time. Time is the indirect cause. He is also the Prakriti, which is the material cause. And he is also the living entity, which is the doer. So basically, he is everything. The Lord is everything. Swatejasa dhvasta guna pravaha. And he is aloof from the material nature. He is free to act any way he wants. Therefore, what you should do? Atmaika bhavena bhajadhvam. Please render devotional service unto that Supreme Lord, thinking yourselves qualitatively one with him. That means thinking oneself to be the part of the Lord, and part of the Lord is supposed to serve the Lord. So that is the understanding. Prabhupada writes, according to Vedic calculations, there are three causes of creation: the time, the ingredient, and the creator. They are called as Tritayatmaka. The time, the ingredient, and the creator. Time is Krishna, Kalosmi, time I am. The ingredients are also given by Krishna, Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayukham, Mano, Buddhi. And the living entity is also Krishna's part and parcel. So everything is practically Lord's only. So that is what is described. So therefore, Narad Muni advises, worship the direct cause. Don't try to worship the secondary cause or remote cause. Although everything is the Lord only, worship the direct cause, the Supreme Lord. Water the root of the tree. Krishna bhakti koile sarva karma kritta hoye. Next verse. Dayaya sarva bhuteshu. Okay, we'll recite this verse. This is another very beautiful verse. How to practice devotional service? Dayaya sarva bhuteshu.
दयया सर्वभूतेषु
Santushtya yena kenava.
सन्तुष्टयेन केन वा
Sarvendriyopashantya cha.
सर्वेन्द्रियोपशत्या च
Tushyatyaashu janardanaha.
तुष्यत्याशु जनार्दनः. Hare Krishna. By mercy, by showing mercy to all living entities, being satisfied somehow or other, and controlling the senses from the sense enjoyment, one can very quickly satisfy Supreme Personality of Godhead.
How to
Janardhan.
satisfy?
Hare Krishna.
How to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? First of all, Dayaya sarva bhuteshu, mercy to everyone. Santushtya yena kenava, by being satisfied. Sarva indriya upashantya, controlling the senses. These are the three ways in which one can pacify and satisfy the Lord. Srila Prabhupada, he connects all these qualities. He says, first item mentioned is Dayaya Sarvabhuteshu. How to show Daya to everyone? Preach Krishna consciousness. Sarvabhuteshu, not just humans, all the living entities, entire humanity, entire world should get benefited. All the trees and the animals, they should get benefited by chanting. And Prabhupada practically, he taught everybody how to satisfy, how to show mercy to every living entity. Govinda Mataji, she would tell that one time she was there in one place, Prabhupada was there sitting in the garden lawn, and a slug, slimy slug, was crawling. And Mataji said, "Oh, just see Prabhupada, this living entity." Prabhupada said, "Please chant to him." Because
Audio not clear, Prabhuji.
others can hear? Okay.
You can hear.
So, Prabhupada said, chant to him, because that's the only way he can get delivered. There is no other way to deliver all the other living entities. So, Mataji says that after that, whenever I see any insect, I chant to those insects. So that's how a devotee is always careful to preach everyone. And in this way, santushtya yena kenava, if we spread Krishna consciousness, one should be satisfied in any condition. Narayan para sarve na kutaschana bibhyati swarga apavarga narakeshu api tulyartha darshinaha. While preaching Krishna consciousness, whatever situations we may be put in, a devotee never complains. So everything Prabhupada connects to preaching. Dayaya, then santushtya. Prabhupada writes, it does not matter to the pure devotee if he has to go to hell to preach. Even while preaching in hell, a pure devotee remains a pure devotee because he has Krishna in his heart. Tumhara hriday sada govinda vishram. How to remain pure devotee? Sarva indriya upashantya. To attain this state, one has to control his senses. So that's how beautifully Prabhupada connects all these qualities. Preach. To preach, you have to be fearless, and you have to develop this quality of sense control. Then only you can preach in any condition of life. That is how Prabhupada writes. Prabhupada writes in one very beautiful verse in the first canto. Narad Muni is a small boy, he is wandering, and one very beautiful verse. Not remembering the verse number. Namanyanantasya hatatra pappathan guhyani bhadrani kritani cha smaran gam paryatan tushtamana spriha kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha. Prabhupada writes in the purport there. I'll just find that verse. Prabhupada writes, the life of a devotee is described in nutshell in this verse. Namani. This is 1:6:26. The life of a sincere devotee of the Lord is explained in nutshell by Narad Muni, by his personal example. So how this sincere devotee practices? Many things. First, Namani Anantasya Hatatrapa Pathan. He keeps on chanting the names of the Lord. Hatatrapa. Hatatrapa means he is not so much concerned about the formalities of this world. Ye karna hai, wo karna hai, family matters, relatives, then society. He is not so much concerned about the formalities. Pathan. He is repeatedly reading chanting, glorifying. What is he glorifying? Guhyani bhadrani kritani cha. He is glorifying and remembering and chanting the wonderful, confidential, auspicious pastimes of the Lord. While he is doing this, two things will happen. अभी घर पे तो बैठ नहीं सकते. He has to work also. Gam paryatan. So this devotee, he moves around in the world, but he has two qualities. Tushtamana, gata spriha. When he sees and we move around in the world, वो बाप रे, इसके पास तो 4 बंगला है, इसके पास तो मर्सिडीज है, इसका तो सैलरी 7 डिजिट का है, मेरा तो 5 भी नहीं. तो I'll become envious. I'll develop desires. Gata spriha. A devotee should not cultivate material desires. Tushtamana. Be satisfied. Or what may happen if one becomes successful in the world? Vimado. One may be proud. So one should not be proud of his achievements, and one should not be envious of what others have. In this way, kalam pratikshan, wait for the time to come. So that is how the devotee of the Lord practices. Okay, so we'll continue from the next verse. कौन से श्लोक पे थे हम लोग?
We have to do
19. संतुष्ट्या येन केन वा सर्वेन्द्रिय उपशान्त्या च तुष्यति आशु जनार्दन. So Prabhupada connects everything to preaching. Okay. Then, by this method of bhakti, you know what happens? Narad Muni is telling to Prachetas. By this method of bhakti, Lord gives himself to the devotees. And I have told this earlier also, Narad Muni says. Now, please hear about the Lord who gives himself to his devotees. So he is now describing the qualities of the Lord. Apahta sakalesh malatmani aviratam edhita bhavanopahuta nijjanavashagatvam atmanoyam sasarati chidrvad akshara satam hi. Translation.
Being completely cleansed of all material desires, the devotees are freed from all mental contamination. Thus, they can always think of the Lord constantly and address Him very feelingly. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing Himself to be controlled by His devotees, does not leave them for a second, just as the sky overhead never becomes invisible.
Apahata sakala esha ana amala. When one is free from all the contamination. Sakala. When somebody becomes free from all the desires, when his mind is free from all the contaminations. And aviratam edhita bhavanopahuta. Aviratam means when one is constantly thinking of the Lord with feelings, bhavana, upahuta, then you know what happens? Nij jana vash. Lord comes under the control of such devotees. Nij jana vash gatvam. Lord comes under the control of his loving devotees and never leaves his devotees. Chakravarti Thakur writes, the Lord is constantly called by the increasing devotion in the pure minds devoid of material desires. So the devotee calls for the Lord, O Lord, O Hari, O Govinda, you are the object, sole object of my life. And therefore the Lord never leaves such devotee. He is controlled by his devotees. So Prabhupada writes in the purport how a devotee always thinks of Krishna. His heart is completely purified Dhyanavastit tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yogino. He's always seeing Krishna in his heart. Mahaprabhu says, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram. Ha ha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Yuta Karuna Karo Hoy Bar. So this devotee is very eagerly praying to the Lord, O Lord, please show mercy. Please appear. So the Lord appears in front of him. He is controlled by his devotees. And Prabhupada writes something very interesting. He says, the Lord is invincible, but he is conquered by his pure devotee. He enjoys being dependent on his devotee. Like Mother Yashoda, Krishna is dependent on Mother Yashoda. And thinking himself dependent on the devotee gives the Supreme Lord great enjoyment. Oh, I am dependent on my Mother Yashoda. When there is lightning and thunderbolt, Krishna, he cries and he's fearful, hides in the under the sari of Mother Yashoda. And Mother Yashoda says, don't worry, oh my child, oh Krishna, nothing will happen. And Krishna likes this. Prabhupada says, sometimes a king engages a joker. And in the process of joking, the king is sometimes insulted. And king enjoys. Prabhupada tells the story of Gopal Bhan. सुना आपने गोपाल भान का स्टोरी सुना रहेगा बहुत सारा प्रभुपाद सुनाते हैं गोपाल भान was a jester in the assembly of this king, and one time king asked Gopal, what is the difference between you and a fool? So this Gopal Bhan, he said, wait a minute, oh my lord, I'll tell you. He said, can you please bring a scale? So somebody brings a scale and he measures the distance between himself and the king. And he says, my lord, 6 feet. The difference between you and the fool. He says 6 feet. And everybody is laughing and king is also laughing. So that's how the Lord is enjoying being dependent on his devotees. When gopis chastise Krishna, that chastisement is better than the Veda Stuti. Priya more man kore pore bhartsan sarva Veda Stuti hoye hare more man. Sakha more shuddha bhave skande arohan tumi kon badalok tumi amasam. All the cowherd friends of Krishna, Sudama, Sridama, Subal, they fight with Krishna, they defeat Krishna, they sometimes climb on the shoulders of Krishna and say, Tumi kaun bad log hai? What type of big person you are? Yesterday only we defeated you, okay? If you don't come on time, we will not allow you to play with us tomorrow. Huh? And Krishna, he says, no, sorry, I'll come on time. So Krishna likes it. He is controlled by his devotees. Then, in the next verse, Narad Muni says, he is controlled by devotees, but if somebody has no devotion, he does not take anything from that person, does not accept any offerings. Krishna is hankering only for bhakti, nothing else. Kimupayana manitam brahman me bhavata grihat anuapi uparitam bhaktai premna bhurye vame bhavet bhuryapi abhakto paritam name toshaya kalpate. Sudama comes to Dwarka. Kuchailam malinam shyamam dvijam dhamani santatam, with all the dirty clothes torn, so many holes, very weak, thin veins are visible, and he has this small bag of chipped rice, which his wife begged from some people. And when he sees the grandeur of Dwarka, opulence of Krishna, he says, how can I give this chipped rice? It is not at all acceptable. And he is hiding it. Krishna, he understands. He says, Sudama, you must have brought something from home. Your wife must have given something for me, right? Kim upayana manitam? Kya upahar laya mere लिए घर से? Brahman में भवताग्रह. Don't think that I want big offerings. Anu api upaharitam bhaktai. If my devotee gives me little offering with love, bhuri eva me bhave. Tare prem se de rahe, I consider it a big offering. Bhuri api abhaktoparitam name toshaya kalpate. If non-devotee offers me big gifts, it doesn't satisfy me. So that is what Lord Narad Muni says in the next one. Na bhajati ku manishinam saijyam harir adhanatma dhanad priyora sakya shrutadhana kul karmanam madairye vidadhati papam akinchaneshu satsu.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes very dear to those devotees who have no material possessions but are fully happy in possessing the devotional service of the Lord. Indeed, the Lord relishes the devotional activities of such devotees. Those who are puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, and fruitive activity are very proud of possessing material things, and they often deride the devotees. Even if such people offer the Lord worship, the Lord never accepts them.
Na bhajati ku manishinam saijyam. Na bhajati. Bhajati means accepts. Lord never accepts ku manishinam. Those people with dirty heart, ku manishi. Ijya, if they offer something to the Lord, that Hari, that Supreme Lord Hari, who is Adhana Atma Dhana Priya Rasagya. This Supreme Lord Hari, he is very dear to devotees who have no possessions, no material possessions. Adhana Rasagya. Adhana Atma Dhana Priya Rasagya. So these devotees have no material possessions, but Lord, he is very dear to such devotees because they have devotion in the heart. Lord is Rasagya. He relishes, he knows where is Rasa. Material things, they don't give Rasa and pleasure to the Lord. Devotion gives Rasa to the Lord. So the Lord is looking for that Rasa. If somebody who is Shruta, Dhana, Kul, Karmana, Madai, if somebody is proud of his education, wealth, aristocracy, fruitive activity, that is not at all pleasing to the Lord. Chakravarti Thakur writes, the Lord has dear devotees who have no wealth, but who have the Lord as their wealth. Atma Dhan. What is the wealth of devotee? The Lord is the wealth of devotee. Ekantalabham vachasonupumsam tushlokamauler gunavadamahu shrutesha vidvad katha sudhayam upasamprayogam. There is only one benefit a devotee expects by his practice. Ekantalabha, a chance to glorify Krishna's name, form, pastimes. That is the only wealth of devotees. Apart from this wealth, everything else is useless. Prema ratan bina daridra jivan dasakori vetan more deho prem dhan. This prem dhan is the wealth. Or the Lord has devotees who are dear treasures for himself, being without material desires. They have no material desires. They don't have possessive nature towards their family, children, wealth. They have possessive feelings only for the Lord. Only Lord is mine, nothing else is mine. The Lord knows the prem ras of his devotees. He is rasagya. Rasagya means one who knows the prem ras in the devotee's heart. Others, they have no devotion. Chakravarti Thakur quotes this famous verse. In this verse, there are 11 causes of pride. What all things create pride in people? Shriya vibhutya abhijanena vidyaya tyagena rupena balena karmana jatsvayenandadhiya saheshwaran sato amamanyanti hari priyan khalan. Wealth, power, good birth, education, renunciation, beauty, strength, performance of rituals. I think, oh, sorry, not 11, 8. 8 causes of pride. 8 causes of pride are mentioned here. Such people, they hari priyan khalan. They are very cruel. They are foolish. Sato avamannanti. They disrespect the devotees of the Lord. Narad Muni continues. Prabhupada writes in the purport, he says, Supreme Lord is dependent on his pure devotees. He does not accept offerings of non-devotees. A pure devotee is one who feels he has no material possession. Namo akinchana vittaya. The Lord is the property of devotee. Possessions are not a problem. Possessive mentality is the problem. Devotee is always happy in possessing bhakti. Devotee may sometimes appear materially poor, but they are spiritually advanced. Sati, we have heard when she goes to Daksha and she says, you think Lord Shiva is a beggar? He has nothing. He stays in crematorium. You will never understand the wealth of Lord Shiva. We have not material wealth. We have spiritual wealth and never gets destroyed. Material wealth gets destroyed. In fact, Lord Shiva also told Sati, please don't go to Daksha. He will not respect you. Sati says, no, he is my father. A very intelligent person. He will respect. He will welcome me. घर वालों के पास जाने के लिए थोड़ा ना परमिशन चाहिए. We don't need invitation house. He says, no. Your father, he hates me. She says, no. He is a very intelligent person. He will not hate you. He will respect you. Lord Shiva says, no. A person who is not a devotee of the Lord, who is proud of all these things, Vidya tapo vitta vapo vayo kulai satam gune shadvira sattametara. Vidya, tapa, vitta, vapu, vai, kul. All these 6 qualities, they are very wonderful qualities. Asattam itara, if these qualities manifest in wicked people, proud people, what happens? Smritau hatayam hitamana dur, their intelligence is lost. They become proud. Sabdha na pashyanti hi dham bhuyasam. And a stubborn, proud person can never respect saintly devotees. So that's how Prabhupada writes. If a person derides a pure devotee, he is never recognized by the Lord. Prabhupada gives the example of Durvasa Muni and Amrish. Okay, next verse. He says, just as the devotees have possessiveness for the Lord also has possessiveness for his devotees. They are my devotees. Lord also feels like this. This is mentioned in the next verse. Shriya anucharatim tadarthinascha Tripat patin vibudham sayat swapurna na bhajati nijbhritya vargatantra katham amum udvisrijet puman kritagya.
Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-sufficient, he becomes dependent on his devotees. He does not care for the goddess of fortune, nor for the kings and demigods. who are after the favors of the goddess of fortune. Where is that person who is actually grateful and will not worship the personality of Godhead?
Priya Anuchartim Tadarthina, the goddess of fortune, and those who are after favors of goddess of fortune. Who are after favor of goddess of fortune? Dvipadapati. Dvipadapati. Dvipadapati means all the devta, all the kings. Vibudha, devtas also. Devtas also want the favor of goddess of fortune. But the Lord who is Swapurnaha, the Lord is self-sufficient. Lord does not care for any of them. Lord doesn't care for goddess of fortune. Lord doesn't care for the devtas. Lord doesn't care for the kings. Anywhere else we have heard this. Lord says, I don't care for Lakshmi. But she is not leaving me. Anyone remembers? Kahan pe bole? It comes in this Four Kumaras Karsing Jai Vijay. Lord comes out and tells, I am ready to lop off my arm if it is found hostile to my devotees and Brahmanas. In fact, I don't care for Lakshmi. You know, whatever power I have, it is because I take the dust of my devotees' lotus feet on my head. And that's why I have got such a disposition. Na Shri Viraktim Apimam Vijahati Yasya Preksha Lavartha Itare Niyaman Vahanti. She doesn't leave me. I don't care for her. And Lakshmi Devi is standing right in front, right besides her, right besides him. और बोल रहे हैं Lakshmi, I don't care for Lakshmi. And she also understands it. She is never angry. Yes, और ऐसा बोल सकते हैं. She is also happy. And she sees how Lord worships his devotees. He is Swapurna. He is never dependent on anyone. Na bhajati nij bhritya varga tantra. He becomes nij bhritya varga tantra. He becomes controlled by his devotees. So who is that person who will not worship such a grateful Lord? So he says, actually, who is that person who is actually grateful and he will not worship the Lord? So devotee is always grateful कि भाई भगवान छोड़ते नहीं है. Actually, one of the qualities of the Lord is he is also grateful. Kritagya. He never leaves. And he's grateful that, oh, my devotees are doing so much for me. That's why in the case of Sudama, Lord doesn't give him right in front. Because he thinks, yes, Sudama has given everything to me. What can I give? I have unlimited. I'm so very grateful and obliged, and I can't give anything. It will not be sufficient. It will not be as per his gift. So therefore, I'll give him something from behind. So a grateful person will always worship the Lord. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, the Lord does not care for Shriya, for Lakshmi, who is followed by so many people. He is Swapurna, but he is dependent on devotees. He is self-satisfied, but still is dependent. This dependence of the Lord on the devotee is actual. It is not a show. दिखावा नहीं है. It is not बोलने के लिए बोल दिए कि I depend on my devotees. He's not making a show. He actually feels like that. How can one reject this Lord even a little? He's controlled. यद्यपि स्वतंत्र प्रभु नहे निवारण भक्त इच्छा विना प्रभु ना करे गमन. Mahaprabhu took sannyas. He's about to leave for Vrindavan, for Jagannath, for South India. So the devotees say, oh my Lord, just wait for Rath Yatra. After Rath Yatra you go. Okay. Rath Yatra is over. Mahaprabhu, please wait for Kartik. After Kartik, you go now. Kartik is over. Mahaprabhu, now it is very cold in Vrindavan. Actually, he's going to Vrindavan, not South India. It's very cold in Vrindavan. You wait for some time. You attend Dole Yatra and then you go. आजी काली करे उठे विविध उपाय सम्मति ना दे विच्छेदेर भय आज जाओ कल जाओ. So many things. And Krishna is, Mahaprabhu is controlled by his devotee. Prabhupada Chakravarti Thakur writes, it has been mentioned that Lord knows the prem ras of the devotee. Devotee also knows the prem ras of the Lord. These two are knowers of rasa. It is not proper, somebody may say, it is not proper that Lord should control the devotee. However, when the devotee controls the Lord, such rasa looks like artificial. How can devotee control the Lord? He says, no, it is not artificial. This rasa is a sthai bhava. It is permanent rasa. It is not just something artificial which comes for some time. A devotee always feels like this, and the Lord also feels like this. With the desire to please the Lord, who is the object of intense natural possessiveness, the prema takes shelter of the devotees. In the stage of prema, we have heard the 9 stages, all the way up to prema. In the stages up to asakti, the devotee has this feeling that I am Lord's. I am Lord's devotee. At the stage of bhava and prema, this mood changes. Now the devotee thinks the Lord is mine. Mamata starts appearing. And this mamata is peak in prema. Mamatva atishaya ankitaha. Atishaya mamatva. Lord is mine. So that is the understanding. So this is not an artificial thing. Prabhupada writes, Lakshmi and all the other, Lakshmi is worshipped by many materialistic people, including Devtas. However, Lakshmi is after Supreme Lord. Even though Lord doesn't require her service, Lakshmi Shahasra Shata Sambrama Sevyamanam. Lakshmis are humbly serving the Lord. Prabhupada writes, Chakravarti Thakur says, both the Lord and his devotee are rasagya. There is a mutual attachment between the Lord and his devotee, and this attachment is not material. This is very high stage of perfection. It is beyond prema level going on. There are 8 levels of devotional transcendental ecstasy. It is all after prema. Bhava, Anubhava, Sthai Bhava, Sattvic Bhava, Vyabhichari Bhava, so all those other bhavas. So Prabhupada writes about that. This is the stage a devotee achieves after prema. Okay, in this way, the conversation between Narad Muni and the Prachetas are now over. And Maitreya Muni concludes. Maitreya uvacha iti prachetaso rajan anyasya bhagavat katha shravayitva brahmalokam yayo swayam bhuvo muni.
Great sage, Maitreya continued, my dear king, withdraw, Sri Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, thus described all these relationships with the Supreme Personality of the Godhead to the Prachetas. Afterward, he returned to the Brahmaloka.
Tepi tanmukha niryatam yasholokamalapaham harer nishamya tatpadam dhyayantastat gatim yayu.
Hearing from Narada's mouth the glories of the Lord, which vanquish all the ill fortune of the world, the Prachetas also became attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Meditating on his lotus feet, they advanced to the ultimate destination.
Yasha lokamalapaham hare. The glory of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, they are lokamala apaha. It purifies the world. Nothing else purifies the world. तस्याखिलामेव हविषु मंगलै वाचो विमिश्रा गुणकरम जन्मभिः प्राणन्ति शुम्भन्ति पुनन्ति. The pastimes of the Lord, the glorification of the Lord, it animates the world, purifies the world, and enlivens the world. So all these prachetas, they became very attached to the Supreme Lord, and they achieved perfection. Manmanabha madbhakto. Okay. In this way, Maitreya Muni concludes this discussion. Etatyavitam shattar yanmam tvam pariprishtavan prachetasam naradasya samvadam harikirtanam.
Hare Krishna, my dear Vidura, I have told you everything you wanted to know about the conversation between Narad and Prachitas. The conversation describing the glories of Lord. I have related this as far as possible.
Okay, so that's the end of the conversation between Maitreya and Narada. Full 2 cantos we have heard conversation between Maitreya and Narad Muni. Sorry, Maitreya and Vidurji. And this is the conclusion. Here, the conversation ends. Maitreya Vidur Samvad ends here. Now the discussion is taken over by Shukadeva Goswami. So this story of Maitreya Muni and Vidurji Samvad, it is related by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. So now Shukadeva Goswami, he takes the discussion ahead. Shri Shuka Uvachas Ya Esha Uttana Pado Manavasyanuvarnitaha Vamsha Priyavratasyapi Nibodha Nripasattama.
Sukadeva Goswami continued, O best of the kings, King Parikshit, I have now finished telling about the descendants of the first son of Swayambhuva Manu, Tanapada. I shall now try to relate the activities of the descendants of Priyavata, the second son of Swayambhuva Manu. Please hear them attentively. Right, children.
Actually, Priyavrat is the elder son, and Maitreya Muni, Shukadeva Goswami could have described about the elder son first. Similarly, Maitreya Muni describes about Uttanpad first. Anyone remembers why?
Because everybody likes to hear of Dhruva, and Dhruva is son of Uttanapad.
So he wanted to glorify through Maharaj's devotion. So after then all their story is over, now he says, I will now describe the story of Priyavrat. Please hear. Yo Naradad Atma Vidyam Adhigamya Punarmahim Bhuktva Vibhajya Putrebhya Aishwaram Samagat Padam.
Although Maharaj Priyavata received instructions from the great sage Narada, he is still engaged in ruling the earth. After fully enjoying material possessions, he divided his property among his sons. He then attained a position by which he could return home back to Godhead.
This creates question in the heart of Parikshit. ऐसा कैसे होता है? How is this possible? Priyavrat, he already was a renounced person. He was staying in the ashram of Narad Muni. How is it that again he came back, he got married? And then he enjoyed also. And then you are saying he attained perfection also. ये तो पूरा ही गड़बड़ है. First of all, he was a liberated. He was ashram brahmachari. Then he became grahastha. And then you are saying even after becoming grahastha, he continued to be a liberated person. Because grahastha means lots of engagements, lots of worldly responsibilities. How is it that he could control the temptations? ऐसा कैसे? So all these things, they create doubt. So he'll ask these questions. Parikshit will ask these questions in the 5th canto. So I think this is the last verse. 9. So Shukadeva Goswami speaks this beautiful verse. We'll recite this. Imam tu kaushar vinopavarnitam
Imam tu kausha
shatta nishamya jitavada satkatham
Shamya Jativada Satta
pravriddha bhavo ashru kala kulo mune.
प्रवृद्धभावो शुक्लाकुलो मणे
दधार मूर्ध्ना चरणं हृदा हरे
दधारमूर्ध्ना चरणं प्रदाहरे.
My dear king, in this way, after hearing the transcendental message of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead and his devotees from the great sage Maitreya, Vidura was overwhelmed with ecstasy, with tears in his eyes. He immediately fell down at the lotus feet of his Guru, his spiritual master. He then fixed the Supreme Personality of the Godhead within the core of his heart.
Kausharava means Maitreya Muni. Shatta means Vidur. Kausharava upavarnitam. When he heard, Nishamya means heard. Shatta Nishamya, when he heard, Vidurji heard Kausharava upavarnitam, when he heard all the wonderful discussions from Kausharava, which is Satkatha. Satkatha means it is a transcendental message of the Lord. What happened in Vidurji? Pravriddha bhavo. Started experiencing the symptoms of ecstasy. Ashru kalakulo. He had tears in his eyes. And therefore, what he did? Dadhar murdhana charanam rida. He offered obeisances, fell at the feet of Maitreya Muni. Prabhupada writes, this is the sign of associating with great devotees. A devotee takes instructions from a liberated soul and is thus overwhelmed by ecstasy from transcendental pleasures. So Vidurji is completely overwhelmed. I have heard so much. So that is the natural outcome of a devotee who has heard in right consciousness. Tad Vidhi Pranipat Pariprashna Seva. Who has heard in this consciousness, naturally one will experience the symptoms of ecstasy. Prabhupada quotes this Naisham Matistavadur Pramanda. Okay. Now, Vidurji, he speaks his gratitude. Vidura uvacha soyamadya mahayogin bhavata karunatmana darshitastama sapparo yatra kinchana gohari.
Sri Vidura said, O great mystic, O greatest of all devotees, by your causeless mercy, I have been shown the path of liberation from this world of darkness. By following this path, a person liberated from the material world can return home back to Godhead.
So that's how Vidurji expressed his gratitude. By your mercy, I have been shown the path of liberation. So, person who is liberated can go back home. After this, Shukdev Goswami says, Shri Shuka Uvacha, Iti Anamyatam Amantrya Viduro Gajasabhayan Swanam Drikshu Prayayo Gyatinam Nirvritashayah.
Hare Krishna.
Shukdev Goswami continued, Vidura thus offered offices unto the great sage Maitreya, and taking his permission, he started for the city of Hastinapur to see his own kinsmen, although he had no material desire.
So first canto, 13th chapter happens after this, where Vidurji meets his relatives, goes to Dhritarashtra. Why suddenly Vidurji goes to Hastinapur? Because he thinks, I have heard about so many great kings. They have all renounced the world. But there is one king who is still absorbed and attached to materialistic life. That is my brother Dhritarashtra. Let me go and help him. So out of compassion for his brother Dhritarashtra, he had no material desires. He didn't go to Hastinapur thinking, abhi zyada hi tapasya ho gaya, thoda break lete. He wanted to deliver Dhritarashtra. Mahadvichalam nrinam grihinam dinachetasam nishrayasaya bhagavan kalpate nanyathat vachat. Great souls only travel for the welfare of people in general. So that's how Vidurji left. Okay, the last verse of the fourth canto. We'll recite this. Etadya shrunuyad rajan
Etadya shrunuyad rajan
Rajyam hari arpitatmanam
Hari Arpita
Atmanam
Ayurdhanam yashasvasti
Ayurdhanam
Yashasvasti
Gatim Aishwaryam apnuyat.
Gatirmaishwaryamapnupayat. Hare Krishna. O King, those who hear these topics about kings who are completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead obtain without difficulty a long life, wealth, good reputation, good fortune, and ultimately the opportunity to return home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
So this is the Falashruti of hearing this wonderful discussion of Maitreya Vidura Samvad. Ayu, Dhana, Yasha, Swasti, everything material. So this is to attract those who are not devotees. So Bhagavatam is focusing on everyone. The primary candidate of Bhagavatam is a sadhaka and a struggling materialist. And the pure devotees are secondary audience. Because pure devotees are already relishing Krishna. Bhagavatam is spoken for sadhakas and the struggling materialists. That's why Sukadeva Goswami keeps giving such material benedictions to attract them also. Okay, so with this we end this fourth canto. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of fourth canto, 31st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Narada Instructs the Prachetas. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.